This is a regular meeting of the City of Sandy Springs Planning Commission. This is a 7-member board appointed by the City of Sandy Springs Mayor and City Council, created for the purpose of holding public hearings and making recommendations on rezoning, use permits, concurrent variance applications, comprehensive land use plan and plan map, and amendments to the zoning ordinance. I will now take call roll. Chairman Lee Duncan.
Here.
Vice Chair Wayne Thatcher.
Here.
Donald Boykin.
Here.
Susan Mazier.
Here.
David Rubenstein.
Here.
Roger Rucknow is absent. Al Pond.
Here.
The petitions will be heard in the sequence listed in the posted agenda. I would like to acquaint you with some of the rules and procedures for this meeting. The applicant and all those speaking in support of an application will be allowed a total of 10 minutes to present the petition. The applicant may choose to save some of the time for rebuttal following the presentation by the opposition. The opposition will be allowed a total of 10 minutes to present its position. The city shall not be obligated to provide the full 10-minute period to the opponents if they elect not to use their full time. Since the burden of proof is upon the applicant will be allowed to make closing remarks provided time remains within the allotted time. The staff of the Department of Community Development will be keeping track of the time and will inform you periodically of the remaining time for your presentation. Each speaker must fill out a speaker card before speaking and leave it with a staff member of the Department of Community Development. All speakers will identify themselves by name, address, and organization, if applicable, before beginning their presentations. Each application has been properly filed with the Department of Community Development. Signs have been posted on each site. The matter has been advertised and the notices have been mailed to property owners affected by this zoning as required by the Sandy Springs zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission's recommendation will be forwarded to the City of Sandy Springs Mayor and City Council for final disposition. The Mayor and City Council hearing will be held approximately 4 weeks from this hearing on the third Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. in the city chambers located in this building. The Planning and Zoning Division of the Department of Community Development has reviewed each application in conjunction with various agencies and departments, both internal and external to the city. Staff's recommendations, findings, and conclusions are here before us in written form, which has been made available to all petitioners and to the public. Demonstration of any sort within the chamber is prohibited, so please refrain from any applause, dialogue with the person speaking, or outbursts. Please turn off all cell phones or place them on silent. All remarks will be addressed by the Planning Commission. Please show the same respect to the person speaking that you would expect to receive yourself. In addition, the applicant shall not submit material to the Planning Commission during the meeting unless requested to do so by the Commission. All materials that you wish to be reviewed by the Commission in consideration of your application should be submitted to the staff of the Department of Community Development to be included in the normal distribution of packages to the Commission. Finally, to the applicant, if your petition is deferred in accordance with the Sandy Springs zoning ordinance, you are required to obtain a new sign for reposting. Failure to repost will result in further delay. There are no exceptions. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. I'd like to get a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any public comments, Patrice? No. All right. And we have approval of the minutes, previous meetings minutes. Any comments, additions?
So moved.
Is that a second? All right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. We are about to take on a case. We know there's a lot of emotion in this matter, but the Planning Commission members would like to reiterate that we like to produce a thoughtful and deliberate discussion of the issues. And that means that we will not have any outbursts. We won't be tolerating any applauding or cheerleading, etc., etc. Both parties will be provided ample presentation time, so we can get this case thoroughly vetted. And the deliberations this evening will be based on the materials that have been received previously to staff for presentation and preparation of this case. So with that, we want to sound the case.
RZ 09-001, CB 09-003, 5395 Roswell Road. The applicant is the Church of Scientology. The applicant is requesting to rezone the subject property from O&I conditional to O&I to allow for a church in the existing building. The applicant is also requesting 3 concurrent variances. Staff recommends approval conditional on all the rezoning and the 3 concurrent variances.
Mr. Galloway.
Members of the Planning Commission, my name is Woody Galloway with Dillon Galloway. I'm here on behalf of the Church of Scientology in this request for rezoning. With me, I've got a number of members of the Church of Scientology, and I'd like for them to raise their hands just to acknowledge their presence. This application includes 1.78 acres of land located in the northeast quadrant of Roswell Road and Glen Ridge Drive. Property is currently zoned O&I and is improved with an office building. We're seeking rezoning from O&I to O&I to allow the existing office building to be converted into a church and utilized as such. The issue in this case really doesn't involve the zoning itself. The use is kind of hard to argue with. A use of a church on Roswell Road, 5-lane highway, one of the busiest roads in Sandy Springs, is probably the busiest road other than the interstate highways. The issue in this case is basically distilled down to an issue of parking and whether there's adequate parking or not. We feel like there is adequate parking for a number of reasons. First of all, your ordinance says that there's adequate parking. If you apply your ordinance, which says that we should provide, a church is to provide 1 space for every 30 square feet in non-fixed seating and 1 space for every 3.5 seats in a fixed seating sanctuary of the largest assembly room, we comply with that request. We not only comply with that, we greatly exceed that request by the 81 spaces that we provide. We are only asking that you apply your own ordinance, the ordinance that you have applied to every other church that has come before the city of Sandy Springs and before that in the city of, or in Fulton County before that. Originally, when this case came before you, the staff had recommended approval of a 32,000 square foot density. That was based on their concern that there wasn't adequate parking. They had recommended approval of the existing 3 stories that are currently improved on the site and indicated that they would consider a change in that recommendation to recommend the full 43,916 square feet if we provided them with a parking analysis that provided them with adequate information to base their decision on. We did that. We provided them with parking studies prepared by Kimley Horn, a national engineering firm that covered 3 churches, the Nashville Church, Buffalo Church, as well as the existing Dunwoody Church, the Church of Scientology. And in all of those cases, they found that if you applied the ratio of the parking spaces actually used by those churches, that there was not only adequate parking at the location in Sandy Springs, but that there was a surplus of parking if you apply those ratios. After we came before you and you made a recommendation to the City Council of approval at the 32,000 square feet in accordance with staff's recommendation, we sat down with staff, went through the parking studies, also went through an analysis of why the Church of Scientology uses so much space per member. And Bob Adams, if you'll recall at your last meeting, went through that orally with you. He's here tonight and can address those issues if you have any questions about that.